It's the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Moline Seed and Fence is proud to sponsor the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Moline Seed and Fence is your local dealer for Riviera custom gates, goat and sheep pens, along with Mountain View sheep and goat equipment. You can check out all their products when you visit their website, MolineSeedandFence.com. If you listened to last week's episode and are ready to go to summer grass, but you need a few more items for the fencing, whether that be fence staple guns or wires, anything like that, posts, make sure you check it out, MolineSeedandFence.com. That's MolineSeedandFence.com, the official sponsors of the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. For the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report, I'm Clay Patton. For the week ending May the 5th, the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market was softer, but not necessarily lower than 2 weeks ago. Maybe on some of the slaughter classes, we're 10 to 15 off those extreme highs on the upper end of the range, but really the heart of the market seemed to hold fairly strong. Again, softer, maybe 10 to 15 lower on a lot of those a lot of slaughter classes, but actually your coal stock breeding does jumped up, slaughter does rather, on the goat side, they jumped up. We saw some notes at $350 a head. That was pretty strong. Your rams jumping up to $170 on some of the real fleshy slaughter rams coming in. And again, those didn't appear to go back. They appeared to go to slaughter buyers. So that's a pretty strong indication there on the coal side of the market. Meanwhile, breeding markets still pretty thin overall. I don't want to call it a solid test, but what's out there still seems to bringing some popularity. With that, though, we did see lower volume this week. A couple of sales we typically follow, taking a pause after the Easter holiday, not running a sale. So that gives us a little less data going into the overall bit of the report. So again, I call the market almost steady. Some softer undertones definitely noted, though, in the slaughter stock out here for this week. I think, though, it's awesome that we haven't seen a sharp decline in the market now, coming a couple weeks after the Easter holiday. Kind of got through that initial big push in demand. Ramadan's behind us. Easter's behind us now. So those things that can typically start to take away from this market as things start to go out into the late spring and early summer. But it was interesting to note, too, Sioux Falls Regional Livestock Market in South Dakota continues to note, even after some of the ethnic holidays, that we're actually continuing to see more lighter weight marketings of lambs in that region. Guys are bringing together these lighter lambs. A, they're getting good money for them. B, the heavy lambs, not that they're not bringing a little bit more dollar per head, but feed resources are tight, so if they can get some good money still out of them, try and save in on some of those feed resources and stuff, it looks like we're marketing a lot lighter lambs. And when we get to the slaughter data just before we go into the regional price breakdown, you'll really notice just how much we're saving versus a year ago. We started to see early May, and really it would probably be next week or the week after, we'll really see probably a big disparity here in the weight on live lambs and lamb carcasses, but we saw that glut of lambs come into the market last year. So glad to see that right now we're still seeing a lot of these lighter lambs go into the chain. It's keeping things pretty current. We're going to look at cold storage data here in just a second. Now, we look out, and again, I already noted on it, but feed resources are getting tight. The drought for Nebraska South, unfortunately, is only intensifying with the latest round of drought monitor coming out. So that is not good. Meanwhile, this week as well, Federal Reserve raising interest rates. So that kind of creates the trifecta triple storm against producers. Rising interest rates, dry conditions, limited feed resources. So that's definitely going to be a struggle for them to try and come back against it. That may force some more marketings. And unfortunately, that likely means we only continue to shrink these U.S. sheep and goat herd as we continue to slaughter. Either we don't keep back and we slaughter a lot of this stock. So that's not good long term, but it also should, though, help to continue to support a fairly good domestic market here. But we're still going to have to compete with imports. And if you want to see some import numbers, still pretty limited on 2023 data, but that was 2 weeks ago that we looked at some of that in the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. So just go back a podcast or two and you can definitely go there and check that out. On the flip side of it, from the demand perspective and the consumer side, do we need to be a little bit concerned? Rising interest rates now, but the consumer still seems to be pretty aggressive. They're buying what protein they want. We did get out kind of contradictory information, that rising interest. Wages are up 4.4% on the year. They were up another 0.5% in March. So that was some solid data coming out this week as well. So that kind of combats that concern. Well, will rising interest rates eventually take away from the consumer? Right now, the consumer's still buying what they want, but we'll see how that plays out later on. That's cold storage data. USDA released that April 25th. Lamb held in U.S. commercial cold storage fell nearly 14% month over month to 25.3 million pounds. That's a sharp decrease, and it may have been partially attributed to Easter demand. So good to see we moved a lot of lamb out of cold storage. With it, though, yes, it's a nice 14% monthly decrease. We're still up 6% from where we were a year ago. Now, when you look at it, pork saw the largest monthly and yearly increases, up 2% on the month, up 10% 4% on the year. The U.S. had a little over 533 million pounds of pork held in commercial cold storage. Even despite high beef prices right now, we're still moving a tremendous amount of beef. As flowing out of cold storage, we dropped month over month, we dropped 4% on beef, and year over year, a 10% decline in U.S. cold storage. We're also, though, back about 6% right now on cattle slaughter when we're actually ahead on hog and lamb slaughter. So again, high beef prices are kind of making an interesting space there on the cold storage side. Now let's look at some highlighted quotes coming out of this week's trade. We saw Centennial Livestock Colorado sell 581 head of feeder or slaughter wool lambs weighing 85 pounds for $196 a hundredweight. That's $167 a head. Centennial also sold 8 head of slaughter hair lambs weighing 73 pounds for $214 a hundredweight, or $156 a head. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock sold 466 head of 91-pound slaughter hair lambs for $216 a hundredweight, or $214 a head. Sioux Falls sold 17 head of running age bred ewes weighing 193 pounds for $220 a head average. Upper end of those ewes brought $225. So there's a little thin test for you on the breeding side. Sioux Falls also sold 7 head of 94-pound goat wethers for $325 a hundredweight. That's $305.50 a head. That's a good strong run there on the wethers. Colby Livestock in Kansas sold 8 head of 60-pound slaughter goats, $410 a hundredweight, or $246 a head. Colby also sold 13 head of 69-pound wool lambs for $220 a hundredweight, or $152 a head. Been a couple weeks since we looked at the hay market. Hay market in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado, and Wyoming steady to $10 a ton higher than the prior week, according to USDA. Now that's probably about $20 to $30 a ton higher than the last time we looked at it here a month or so ago. But with that in mind, it is just tough right now. It's cool and wet. We're getting off to a slow start to grazing in the northern plains, but you drop much into Nebraska. That's where we're starting to see more abnormal dryness and drought creep up. So everybody's scrambling to try and hold off to getting to those summer grasses as long as possible. With it, though, it's just hard to come by. Hay producers are noting that many ranchers are already trying to secure hay for this coming year. They're just trying to get it on contract, and so far a few folks are wanting to really get anything in writing. Western Nebraska did note a few first contracts for first cutting alfalfa. Again, alfalfa is not in the bale yet, $230 to $240 a ton. So the demand's out there, and it doesn't look like hay prices breaking anytime soon. Lamb slaughter this week, 35,000 head through Saturday, an increase of 1,000 head from last week, up 4,000 from last year. Year-to-date lamb slaughter, 655,000 head, up 6.6%, or about 40,000 head more than the prior year's lamb slaughter. Live lamb weights were 120 pounds, a decrease of 1 pound from last week, down 17 pounds from last year. Dressed lamb weights on the rail, 61 pounds, unchanged from last week, a decrease of 8 pounds from last year. Now here's your breakdown of the regional prices on the wool lambs. Not enough for the 20 to 40 pounders for an applicable test. 40 to 70 pound wool lambs, 150 to 235 a hundredweight, 70 pounds and up, 130 to 235 a hundredweight. Hair lambs, 20 to 40 pounds, 180 to 235 a hundredweight, 40 to 70 pounds, 200 to 255 a hundredweight, 70 pounds and up, 170 to 235 a hundredweight. Wool ewes, not enough for a stalker run, but on the slaughter side, wool ewes trading 40 to 127.50 a hundredweight. Slaughter rams, 35 to 170 a hundredweight. On the hair ewes, replacement quality, 175 to 225 a head. Slaughter hair ewes, $65 to $150 a head. On the hair rams, 100 to 135 a hundredweight. And over in the kid goats, 20 to 40 pounders, 175 to 450 a hundredweight. 40 to 70 pounds, 275 to 410 a hundredweight. 70 pounds and up, 230 to 340 a hundredweight. On the goat withers, 70 pounds and up, 226 to 325 a hundredweight. On the slaughter does, medium to fleshy, $130 to $350 a head. Replacements, it's a thin market, but what we can make out, $170 to $325 a head. On the slaughter bucks, $155 to $323 a hundredweight. Not enough applicable trades for a breeding buck count. And that is a look here at your Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening.